Welcome back to the next video in this character production pipeline. In the last video, we took a look at getting our clothing out of Marvelous Designer, bringing it into 3ds Max, and setting up a really cool morpher that allows us to morph the panels from the shape of the simulated version of the clothing into a flattened version over beside it. The next step is to now make a lower subdivision level version of this clothing. So effectively what we're going to be doing is that we're going to steal the shape from this one, we're going to steal the UVs from this one, and we're going to make a new one that has better topology that is going to better suit our character. I'm going to head over to my front view. I'm going to just isolate the clothing. I don't need to see the character at this point. And because this is a little bit of a pain to do, I don't want to have to select this and then go and manipulate the morpher and then go and edit some topology and then select this again and go and put it back. What I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to animate this. So I'm going to go to my auto key. We'll go to frame 40 or so, and I'm just going to bring this all the way up. And what that does is that I no longer need to select the article of clothing to make it morph. Now my timeline or my slider is going to make it morph. So I'm going to leave this at frame 40. The next thing that I need to do is I need to start retopologizing this to create the topology that I'm going to use for subdivision level 1 inside of ZBrush. And this is going to be a really quick and easy process. First, I'm going to begin with creating a plane. I'll do these side panels first because they're probably going to be the quickest. So I'm going to go create my plane. I'm going to make this transparent. I'm using X-ray mode. I'm going to turn on the wireframe for the plane. I'm going to kill my subdivisions, convert this to an editable poly, and then lastly, I'm going to reset the X form on this plane. Otherwise, some of the tools that I'm about to use are not going to work as quite intended. With this done, we should be able to see our pattern through the topology, and because I'm in my front view, I know that my polygons are snapping to 0 in the y-axis. Now, I'm just going to go and move the vertices here until they line up with the corners of the panel, something like this. And then I'm going to switch over to the Swift loop to start adding more detail. So I'll put a Swift loop in the middle, and I'll bring this vertex out until it lands on the outer edge. And I'll bring this one out until it lands on the outer edge. And we'll do a vertical Swift loop here as well. Again, bring this up until it touches that edge, and bring this one down, or up rather, until it touches that edge. Rinse and repeat. I'll add another 2 edges here and 2 edges here. And again, we'll grab that topology and move it out, move it in, move it up. And just ensure that every one of these vertices lies on the outer edge of the original panel. Now, you want to be mindful of just how much topology you place on your mesh. Going too high resolution will result in something that is not going to be very useful inside of ZBrush. And so you do want to be a little bit mindful of that. I am also trying to make sure that all of my polygons remain as close as I can get them to being the same size. This is going to aid in the subdivision process inside of ZBrush when we start creating our subdivisions. If we have a very, very, very small polygon to begin with, that's going to end up giving us detail that really just isn't going to be useful to us. We're going to end up with millions and millions of polygons, but it's still going to look low res. And so the idea is try and keep everything kind of as even as you can get it. So this looks pretty good to me. If I go and look at the number of polygons that I've got here, so I'm running, what is this, 8 across the top. Now, I want to also kind of remember where on my character this goes. And this is one of her sides, right? So that would mean 8 polygons and presumably another 8 polygons on this mesh. That's going to give me 16 to cover her sides. And then if I look at the width of the other 2 meshes along the top, it looks like we're going to get maybe 4 or so polygons in here and maybe 2 polygons in here. So that's going to be 16. That's going to be 20. 24, 26, 28. So that's 28 polygons to go all the way around my character. And this is kind of what I'm starting to think of, is how many polygons do I actually want to go around her waist? And in this case, I think I'm actually going to end up subdividing this one more time. And what this is going to do is just give me a little bit more resolution. That looks pretty good. Again, I'm looking for places where my vertices are just off the edge here, and I want to make sure that I'm doing this in my front view. Okay, that's probably close enough. And now I can go and duplicate, since I know the panels were cloned from each other. I'm going to hold Control and Shift. I'll drag this copy down below. I'm going to make sure my angle snaps are on, and I'll rotate this one 180. I'll use Move, and I'll place it on that panel, again, as close as I can get it. And I'm just going to flip it to make sure it's pointing the right way. Again, I'll reset my X-form as I go, and we can go and start creating the next panel. Now, the nice thing about this is that this edge here needs to stitch to this edge here, which means I know exactly how many polygons I need to flow along this edge. We'll start with one polygon, and we'll bring it over. Now, this one is not just a rectangular pattern, so I'm going to have to take a little bit more care when I go and place these edges. I'm going to put this one here and this one here. So we'll bring this vertex down a little bit here too. And I'm now going to switch over to my extend mode. I can hold Shift and drag this out. Now, this seems to be going bonkers on me here as I drag that out. I'm not entirely sure why I did that. Oh, that's why. Let's undo that. I was not in my front view. Somehow I managed to rotate the camera. So I'm going to go and bring these ones up here. Get them as close as I can get them. Like so. And I know I need 16 polygons in here. So we're going to return to Swift Loop. I'll put another edge in here and bring it down. That's 1, 2, 3. There's 4, 5. We'll bring this one in. We'll bring this one out. There's 6, 7, 8. Nine, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Let's go double check our count. And indeed, I have 16 polygons. Now, I do have a little bit of a problem. This polygon is really, really big. I mean, it's taller than the other ones. Because I'm going to need to sew these edges to one another, I need the spacing to be identical. If I go and select this edge, and I go to Modeling, I go to Loops, Loop Tools, and Space, that's going to redistribute those edges so that they are perfectly uniform. Now, I'm going to this on a shortcut key, and I'm going to use that shortcut key moving forward because it's going to speed me up some. And I'm just going to go and make sure that every one of these edges is actually spaced in that way. You can see that kind of broke some of the topology here, but that's okay. If I go and select the elements, switch over to vertices, I'm going to use the relax tool to go and relax the topology so that I get something even cleaner. Okay, so let's do that on this one. I'm going to go double click this edge, run the spacer to make sure that these are evenly spaced. So essentially what I have now is 16 polygons all evenly spaced along that edge. And here I have 16 polygons all evenly spaced along that edge. I'm going to switch back over to the freeform extend, and we'll bring this one out across here. Again, here I can see that this actually looks like it should be about 3 polygons. I'm looking for where I could stop doing 3 polygons. So I'm looking for the width across this panel here, and right around here is where it starts getting pretty wide. If I go and bring this down, that looks to me about like where I would want my 3 polygons to end. So in doing that, we can go and bridge across here. I'm going to go in, click, add my subdivisions, use extend to bridge across the gap. And I can kind of keep continuing at the rate that I was. So this one's going to go down, down and down and down, down, and so on. This one's going to go down as well. We'll bridge across there. This is going to come down, and this is going to come down. Now, I may actually want to start cutting across here some more, but all I'm really interested in right now is just getting the perimeter of this done. So I'll walk this edge down here. And I can see where I want my topology to go. This is a fairly easy thing to do. We'll go and give this, again, enough subdivisions here that curvature holds up really nicely. And again, I want to make sure that I'm adhering to that edge. If I don't, I'm going to change the shape of the clothing, which is not what I want. Okay, so I'm going to go to extend mode here, and we'll go in extend all the way down. I'm going to go to swift loop again. And I'll put a swift loop in here. There's a corner right there that I want to capture. Something like that. We can go and bring this vertex down. And I'm going to put another edge loop here. And effectively, this is going to become a corner. We go straight across. Maybe something like that. And then again, I can go in and put in matching edge loops here as I go. I'm just looking at how this shape is holding up here so far. And I'm not overly pleased. Oops, let's make sure we don't rotate. Not overly pleased with the shape that I'm getting. And so let's go in and put some more edge loops in here. Again, I'm going to try and get to a point where my topology is fairly even. Or something like that. Let's go and run the spacing tool. And I want to make sure that these don't dip down too much. That seems to be okay. The next thing that I want to do is I just want to go and bring this up. Now I'm finding that teal color on the garment here to be a little tough to look at. So I'm going to go and select this and just darken it so that I can see a little bit higher contrast between the shapes that I'm doing. That teal was just a little too hard on the eyes. The idea here is that I would like to, no, that one's fine like that. I want to go and just make sure that I'm building these out the way that they should be. We'll plug that in there. Or something is funky here. So it looks like there's an additional row of polygons in here. I'm going to go and delete. I'm prohibiting my tool from bridging and doing what it's supposed to do. So we'll go and space out this bottom here too. And again, I kind of know that there's going to be a corner here where this stuff kind of starts folding in on itself. It should be kind of somewhere in here. I think it should be about there. This is going to go across here. And then these ones are going to go up. This one will go across here. This one across here. And again, I'm not obviously being careful here when I retopologize this. I'm not trying to be super clean when I do this. I'm really just trying to get those vertices in there. I'm just trying to get the mesh created. The perimeter, I'm absolutely concerned about. The interior, I'm not concerned about at all. And so the idea is to try and get just enough topology in here that the shape holds, does what it's supposed to do. Again, trying to be very aware of that outer edge. let's go and bring one of these straight across so that we can start seeing how we're doing here with our lineup. It looks like we obviously do not have enough topology to go all the way across. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 polygons here, but only 2 here. We'll go and add 3 more edges in here. And that's going to give me the ability to now bridge these together. And I can't do the bottom one here, but I'm going to go and put some loops in here that match up with the bottom edges. Return to my extend mode and go and build across here. And then I've got this same kind of pattern that I want to kind of just bring all the way across. And so if I can keep bringing these edges over like that, and start closing these off a little bit so I can see where I'm at here topologically. And we can close this off and close this off. Bring this over. So I can see I'm going to need some more edges in here. It looks like I'm going to need 1, 2 more edges. So there's 1 for that one and 1 for that one. And that should give me quad, a quad, a quad. Now again, my topology is really ugly. It's really, really unclean. But again, if I go in, redistribute my edges along every corner of this thing, something like this, and then I go and grab all of the vertices and we just run a relax algorithm on it, again, we're going to end up with something that does hold really, really well onto that shape. And I can simply copy it over here, rotate it 180 until it lines up, and make sure we get that right. 180. And again, I'm going to flip it and then just make sure, again, that I've got it as close to that shape as I can get it. Now it's going to leave us one more panel to do here. Again, 16 along the curve, and again, a bunch more topology I'm going to have to work out. So we'll start with another unique polygon. In this case, watch this. I'm going to go and take the entire row of polygons, and we'll bring those out as a clone. I'm going to rotate them until they're in line with this shape a little bit more, like so. And reposition them so that they're all on the edge. And again, I really only care about the inner edge. These polygons are going to get deleted here in a second, but this is going to give me the ability to create the topology for this row really quickly, because I already have this curve mostly built. It means that making the polygons here is going to be super easy. We'll go and move these things until they line up. Like so. We'll go and grab that whole edge. I'm going to Control Shift to drag it out. And there, we now have that row. And then I can just delete that row of polygons. We can go and space these out again. And just like I did on the other one here, where this polygon goes around the corner, exactly what I want to do here. I want to make this polygon reach around that corner. We'll just redistribute this again. And again, I kind of want to look for that place where the corner looks like it could change, right? So I think I see that with extend mode here. I think I see that about here. This one's going to go down and this one's going to go across. Something like that. And again, I'll go and place these things so that they all line up on that edge. The closer, the better. Like so. And then these guys are all going to come down. We're going to try and not bring this down so much here. And I'm essentially just going to reproduce what I've got going on here. So I'll put another edge loop in here. I'll go to extend, And we'll bring this down. Again, I gotta make sure that I stay in my front view, or I'll break everything. And again, place this here. I've got, again, this really nice round curve, where this is gonna loop around and start heading up that way. We'll go and put our edge loops in. There, there, there. Go and move those back on. If you get the first few edges to line up with the curve, Swift Loop starts being able to reproduce the curve with a little bit more accuracy. And so you start getting a little bit more and more accurate along the way. All right, something like that. Again, I'm going to bring this curve up here. So I will extend. And we'll start Swift looping. So I'll put a Swift loop in here. At this point, the gizmo is in the way, so I'm going to hit X to clear the gizmo so that it's not in the way. Which is going to give me a little bit of an easier time. This one is, no matter what I do with the Swift loop here, it's never going to adhere that angle because it's averaging out the front and back of it. I'll go and add a few more segments in here. We'll try and space those guys out. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I'm going to go into extend, and I know that this one's going to come straight across. And we'll give it enough room here to put another polygon in. And we'll go and add the edges that are going to become connected, like so. And I'm going to put a lip in here. So I'm going to delete this polygon, as I think this should go up. So something like that. We'll see what we can do about bridging. And we'll connect through. Then we'll go and add some more Swift loops inside of here. Evenly space the top. Again, I don't care about the ugly messiness of the bottom. I need to only worry about the perimeter, making sure that the perimeter is clean. I'm going to pull this one out, and this is going to go straight across. Leave room to connect it. Something like that. And then this is going to, let's go and connect in here. Back to extend mode, and again, put these on the border. Bridge. Connect. Bridge. Connect. All the way through here. And so this ends up becoming a pretty quick topological process to redo and end up with something that's pretty nice. It's not as quick as a ZRemesh, but it is giving me much better topology and topology that I have control over, which is something you don't typically get when you do the ZRemesh, at least not to the extent that we are going to get here. Okay, so that's nice and clean. It matters now only that these things match in terms of their edges. So if I go and grab this border here and go and remove everything else, I just want to see how many segments we have here to add. 28, so there's 27 segments. I'm going to add one here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, just put these on that edge. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 4. So that should now match up in terms of the sheer numbers. I'm going to go and bridge everything but the bottom straight across. And indeed, I can see that it didn't actually match up. We can just go and delete these and put in, what do we need? 1, 2, 3 more edges in here. And so, yeah, we can go and now properly bridge this. And then we can start putting in our edges in here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, and 8. And then extend across here. And then go to the top and make sure that this all matches, which I can see very quickly will not. Now let's get rid of that one. So we need 1, 2, 3 edges in here. So 1, 2, 3. We'll go to extend. And there we go. So now, if I go to my edges, I'm going to space them evenly along each corner here. Yeah, that may actually work like that. We're going to go to Element, Vertices, and again, run our Relax algorithm on here to get the topology into the flow that we want. We can grab that pane. We're going to go and Control Shift as we rotate it 180. I missed 180 again. We'll go in the top view here to line this up. Get it 1. There we go. And again, we're going to flip it and just make sure that it lines up as best it can. So there is now retopologized, much better looking fabric that I'm going to get to put on this model. The goal now is to capture some UVs, and that's a pretty straight, simple, forward process. I'm just going to go to UVW map and make it planar in Y, and we'll just make sure that this is the same number exactly in the length and width. So there's my 0 to 1 bob. I'll convert this to an editable poly. And now we have the original fabric morphing into this shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it, when it morphs, that it drags along this topology with it. The way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to use a modifier called skin wrap. And this is on the new topology, skin wrap. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say add, and we'll add the old topology as a driver for the skin wrap. So now if I go and drag my slider back to the beginning, it's going to drag the new topology with it. And that new topology is now going to form the shape of the waistcoat. This does not edit the geometry. This has not gone and morphed the UVs. It's only just gone and dragged it into the shape that we want it to have. So if I convert this now to an editable poly, we can actually delete the other waistcoat. And I'm going to go to Borders. Make sure we have everything selected. Control and select Vertices. And I'm just going to do a weld. Now this won't have done absolutely everything based off how close to that edge I actually was. So I'm going to do a couple of welds here to make sure. And again, I'm just going to go to Borders and select and make sure that everything's nice and clean. We're going to go to our polygons and just set it all to be one smoothing group. And if we look at this now, we should have really nice clean topology in exactly the shape of the clothing. And it even has some of the wrinkles here kind of holding on what was in that higher poly shape. Not completely done just yet. I do want to go and add some thickness to this and make it so that we actually do have the proper distance on here. But I'm going to do that in the next video. The next video is going to be about finalizing this mesh before we can bring it into ZBrush to allow the sculpting to continue. And so that's what we're going to do in the next video. We'll go and finalize this mesh, get it thick, and then get to the point where we start continuing. So I hope to see you when we get into that video. And until then, see you next time.